Desperate single mom sends message to wrong man. What happened next will leave you amazed. Every day, as 34-year-old Jenna stepped into her coffee shop, she wore a smile thick enough to mask her worries. The embrace of freshly brewed coffee wafted through the air, yet with every clang of the cash register, her heart grew heavier, sinking under the weight of unpaid bills that seemed to multiply overnight. The cafe, once a beacon of her shared dreams with her late husband, now felt like a shadow of what it used to be. With 2 young children demanding her attention, each day blurred the lines between exhaustion and determination. Jenna clutched a stack of invoices one late evening, cradling her toddler in the other arm. Bills with ominous red markings taunted her, choking her resolve like a tightening noose. If only she were better at this, the nagging thoughts whispered, if only she could do it all. No longer enjoying the comfort of shared dreams, each endeavor became an uphill battle, marked by memories of happier times. The irony gripped her tighter. How could the memory of love feel like a chain? Jenna's mind raced as she considered reaching out for help. Her thumb hovered over her phone, uneasy. She thought of her college mentor, the one person she believed might offer wise counsel. Instead, she bitterly regretted the coffee stains on her dress and the smudged lines of ink on her hands. Tension coiling in her stomach, she mistakenly sent a heartfelt, desperate message to Tom, an old classmate turned corporate lawyer, someone she hadn't spoken to in years. I'm struggling so much, Tom. Feels like I'm about to lose everything. I don't know what to do anymore. When Tom received her message, he felt a jolt of surprise, memories of her laughter bubbling to the surface. Intrigued, he quickly typed back, expressing sympathy and a willingness to help. Initially reluctant, he found himself drawn into Jenna's world, her words painting vivid images of sleepless nights and the weight of motherhood crashing down upon her. There was resilience in her vulnerability, a spark that stirred something within him. The more they typed late into the night, the more layered their connection became. Tom's heart leaped with each story Jenna shared, and while he longed to offer her genuine support, a moral quandary sat heavily on his shoulders. Could he possibly step in without undermining her strength? What if she saw him as just a benefactor? The gravity of their friendship, their potential, hung in the balance as he scrolled through her messages, conflicted over the ethics of aid versus genuine friendship. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Despite their budding friendship, Jenna faced an unrelenting gnaw of anxiety as the bank's threatening letters piled up on her counter. The anxiety intensified, pushing her to the brink. Was it failure to accept help? Could she let someone she barely knew into her storm? Almost teetering on despair, she felt her pride wrestle with her overwhelming need. Just when she began to sense hope, doubt came rushing back. Should she reach out to Tom yet again? The sun dipped low, and she stood outside her cafe, the chill of the evening air biting, a proverbial storm brewing in her gut. Last night's conversation echoed in her mind, fingers poised above her phone. One message could change everything. But one question in an abyss of uncertainty loomed. Was she brave enough to take that plunge? Jenna stared at the glow of her screen, the blue light illuminating her anxious features as she deliberated. Each passing second heightened the tension, the choice growing heavier. Send another message, and what would that say about her? She was a mother capable, resilient. Yet, here she was, possibly reaching out for help after years of navigating life's challenges alone. She took a deep breath, feeling her chest tighten. What was it about this Tom that drew her back to him? Their college days had been filled with laughter and ambition. They hadn't just been classmates, they had been dreamers. Yet the adult version of herself felt like a far cry from that vibrant young woman. She was dulled now, burdened by the relentless grind of responsibility. With a flick of her thumb, she wrestled against the wave of shame creeping in, the feeling that asking for help was somehow a failure. But it was the same battle each day. Her internal struggle echoed in every glance at her waning savings account, every bill unopened, each time she stifled a cry after putting her kids to bed. "Perhaps I could just try," she whispered to herself, a flicker of courage lighting her resolve. She began typing. "Tom, I think I need to ask for help. I'm overwhelmed, and I don't see a way out." Before she could second-guess her impulsive decision, she hit send. The silence that followed was deafening, her heart racing as she flitted between hope and fear. Would her honesty push Tom away, or would it draw him nearer? It felt like standing on the precipice of a cliff, risking everything on the off chance of a safety net below. Hours seemed to stretch on, and just as she began to despair, her phone buzzed. Tom's response came in, quick and earnest. "Jenna, I'm here for you. Please tell me more about what you're facing." With a newfound sense of urgency, Jenna recounted her hardships, juggling the cafe on the brink of failure, the bills that felt insurmountable, and the crushing loneliness that had settled in since her husband's passing. As she typed, she felt an unraveling. The words poured out, a cathartic release that stripped away layers of pretense she had worn like armor. "I can help. Let's figure this out together," Tom replied, a simple statement, but it felt enormous against her vulnerable state. A wave of gratitude washed over her. She wasn't alone in this struggle. What about the cafe? The fleeting thought that she might even lose it rattled her. Hadn't it been her lifeline, her connection to the past? She felt pinned between her history and the potential for a new beginning. Each moment spent scribbling notes, attending to the needs of her children, and managing the shop had numbed her expectations. Perhaps accepting help meant redefining her dreams altogether. Tom's messages became a lifeline. He suggested restructuring her finances and brainstorming ideas to re-engage the community to boost sales. These were practical steps she hadn't considered. They felt like small pieces of a larger puzzle beginning to assemble in her mind. Yet as hope bloomed, a question lingered. Would she be able to maintain ownership of her dreams as she reassessed them? As Jenna set a plan in motion with Tom's guidance, she felt cracks forming in her pride, tiny fissures exposing her genuine desire for connection. She was letting go, inch by inch, of past notions of independence, reassessing what it truly meant to be strong. But as the days passed, and she dipped her toes into a newfound wave of collaboration, a nagging worry returned to haunt her. Was she opening herself to something deeper than a friendship? Something she wasn't sure she was ready for. And as they proceeded to brainstorm a reopening event for the cafe, a lingering thought struck her. Was she ready for what this transformation might bring, not only for her business but for her heart as well? The time had come to face the truth of their potential together, but at what cost? Jenna sat at the small table in her cafe, her fingers dancing nervously over the pages of a notebook filled with ideas and sketches for an impending reopening. The once familiar aroma of freshly brewed coffee surrounded her, invigorating yet daunting. She had spent hours working with Tom, fleshing out a plan, and every moment filled her with a mix of excitement and fear. She glanced up as the door swung open, a burst of sunlight spilling into the dimly lit room. A familiar face stepped in: Megan, a loyal customer and friend, whose unwavering support had been a comforting constant amidst turmoil. "Hey, Jenna," Megan called out. "I heard you're planning a big comeback. I'm so excited for you." "Thanks, Megan," Jenna replied, her heart fluttering at the kind words. It was nearly painful to acknowledge how much she needed that affirmation. Conversations like these had become rare treasures for her, a reminder that others believed in her, even when she struggled to believe in herself. That as they chatted, Jenna felt a growing unease. Megan's bright demeanor was infectious, yet deep down, Jenna's inner tumult was gnawing. The prospect of reopening meant exposing herself to scrutiny, and the weight of people's expectations felt like a heavy cloak. Was she ready to take that leap? Would this marker of success restore her faith in herself, or push her further into the depths of doubt if she failed? "Do you think I can actually pull this off?" Jenna asked, almost timidly, her hands fidgeting with the pages in front of her. Megan paused, her expression shifting to one of sincerity. "You absolutely can. You've always had a vision for this place, Jenna. Remember all the ideas you had when you first opened? They were brilliant. The warmth in Megan's voice sparked a flicker of determination, a reminder of the spark that once ignited her dream. Perhaps she could channel that same fiery passion, but the shadow of her insecurities loomed large. As they brainstormed, Jenna couldn't shake the unsettling thought of Tom. His encouragement felt invigorating but stirred feelings she wasn't prepared to confront. It was as if he had cracked the hardened shell she had built around herself. What if their collaboration extended beyond professional boundaries? Was she ready to risk her heart again? After Megan left, the cafe grew quieter. Jenna's mind spiraled through possibilities, both exhilarating and terrifying. Each new idea felt like a thread weaving her back into a stronger version of herself while simultaneously tugging at old wounds. Weeks passed, and with each planning session, Jenna leaned more into Tom's suggestions, revealing facets of her strength and creativity that had been dormant for years. The synergy between them built momentum, yet the emotional undercurrents continued to murmur anxiously. One evening, they met for coffee to finalize details for promotional posters. As they laughed over shared memories from their college days, Jenna felt an unexpected magnitude of connection. Tom's laugh, the way his eyes lit up when discussing her ideas, she felt seen and valued in a way that made her heart beat faster. But then it hit her, was this connection merely business partnership or something deeper that she hadn't anticipated? The thought tightened her chest. She had spent so long masking her vulnerabilities. Could she really entertain the idea of opening herself up to potential heartache, especially after what she had endured? That night, as she lay in bed, her mind raced. She couldn't keep dodging the truth about Tom, her feelings swirling like a storm. The delicate line between friendship and something more was becoming increasingly muddled, and she needed clarity. If she didn't confront what was growing between them, would it hinder their advancements, both professionally and personally? The possibility of stepping into this unknown, while exhilarating, was daunting. As Jenna wrestled with these heavy thoughts, the chilling realization sank in: she had to make a decision. Was she prepared to fight for her dreams in the cafe while also confronting the possibility of a new relationship, or risk losing both? The moment of truth awaited, the tension palpable with each passing day. What would she choose when the time came to face both her ambitions and her heart? The sun rose slowly the next morning, casting a warm glow in the cafe that felt oddly inviting yet daunting. Jenna inhaled the familiar scent of coffee mingling with a hint of pastries, her heart pounding in her chest. Today was significant. With a deep breath, she opened her notebook and stared at the chaotic swirl of ideas and outlines. Each page reflected a piece of her struggle: concepts for new menu items, sketches of the layout for a cozier seating arrangement, each tick of ink symbolizing a step closer to her vision. Yet amid the inspiration, the nagging question still haunted her: could she meld her professional aspirations with the complicated feelings rising within her regarding Tom? As she set about tidying the cafe, a sense of purpose washed over her. Organizing cups and aligning chairs felt oddly therapeutic, providing control in the face of her swirling thoughts. However, that calmness soon faded when memories of her recent conversations with Tom flooded her mind. The camaraderie they had grown through their working sessions, the laughter, the shared dreams became a bittersweet reminder. Was every smile he offered a reflection of deeper feelings, or merely a facade of friendship? When Tom arrived later to finalize the preparations before the reopening, Jenna's pulse quickened instinctively at the sight of him. His energy, vibrant and infectious, coaxed a smile from her just as effortlessly. "Hey, ready to nail this?" he asked, that same spark of motivation lighting up his eyes. "Yeah, I think I've finally sorted everything," she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. But as they dove into final discussions, Jenna felt her resolve wavering, caught between the urge to forward her ambitions and the growing emotional current threading between them. "Jenna," Tom said, his tone shifting as he leaned closer across the table, "I know we've been working hard, but I've been thinking. You have so much potential, and not just for this cafe. You should really think about encouraging yourself to take bigger risks." She blinked, taken aback by his words. Bigger risks? The idea cascaded through her mind like a torrent of possibilities, of dreams far grander than she had allowed herself to consider. Was he suggesting that she aim for more than just a successful reopening? Was he hinting at something deeper, a shared future in a way that frightened her? Bigger risks? She echoed, her voice softer. What do you mean by that? Tom leaned back, his eyes a mix of vulnerability and encouragement. I mean, you've already conquered so much. What stops you from thinking that you could expand this cafe into something more, or even pursue other creative outlets? You're not just a cafe owner, you're an artist at heart. Own that. In that moment, Jenna felt a pang of realization. She had been so focused on the fear of failure that she hadn't allowed her imagination to wander beyond the cafe walls. Was it wrong to envision a bolder, more ambitious version of herself? What if she could extend her talent not just to her cafe but into a wider realm of influence? Maybe I could look into hosting workshops or art displays, she mused aloud, her mind igniting with fresh ideas. Tom's eyes lit up. Absolutely. Your cafe would be an excellent venue for that. And what a way to build a community around your brand. The prospect was exhilarating yet terrifying, but as excitement bubbled within her, the familiar doubts began to creep back in. Am I truly ready for that? The conversation soon diverted back to logistics, yet Jenna's mind remained racing with the potential of what lay ahead. She could feel her pulse quicken, not just from fear but ignited by a growing determination. As they wrapped up for the day, the urge to confront what was brewing between them gnawed at her. With a deep breath, Jenna faced Tom directly. Listen, I've been thinking about us. Where is this going? Tom's expression shifted, a flurry of unease flickering across his face. I'm glad you brought that up, he began, leaving Jenna poised on the brink of revelation, her heart pounding. As she awaited his answer, the stakes had suddenly never felt higher, and Jenna knew that each decision would not just shape her cafe's future but would also redefine her personal journey. What would he say? And what would that mean for them today and beyond? Jenna held her breath, waiting for Tom's words to materialize, as if they were somehow suspended in the atmosphere between them. The warmth of the cafe seemed to thicken around her, amplifying the tension. In that charged moment, she felt a pull and urge to leap forward, but also a nagging hesitation that threatened to anchor her. Jenna, Tom finally said, searching her eyes, I think we have something really special. It's just complicated. His words hung in the air like an unresolved chord, evoking both hope and frustration. Complicated. The word echoed in her mind, forcing her to confront the reality of her situation. She was standing at a crucial crossroads, where her personal and professional lives intertwined chaotically. What do you mean by that? I need more than vague assurances, she pressed, her voice sharpening with the weight of uncertainty. Tom leaned forward, fingers intertwined. I have aspirations too, and I don't want to jeopardize what we have. But there is something between us. He faltered, leaving Jenna with an opening, a chance to push further, to confront not only their relationship but her own emotions as well. Do you mean you're afraid of what could happen if we pursued this? She challenged, the words spilling out with an urgency that surprised her. Perhaps the moment demanded authenticity. She could no longer veer around the edges of their connection. Tom exhaled a long breath, and Jenna noticed the way he shifted away slightly as if bracing for impact. I'm just not sure if we're in the right place. You've got this incredible journey ahead. I don't want to distract you. His concern for her growth warmed her, but it also sparked frustration. I don't want to be defined just by this cafe. I want to explore those larger ideas we talked about, expanding my vision, taking risks. But I also want to understand us. I can't ignore how I feel about you. Silence enveloped them like a shroud, weaving together the threads of their complexities. Her heart raced not just with affection but with frustration at the barrier she sensed between them. Jenna's inner dialogue twisted with self-reflection. Why did she feel the need to navigate her feelings through the lens of professional ambition? Was she allowing fear to dictate the course of both her career and her heart? Tom looked conflicted, and in that moment, Jenna resolved to be the architect of her own fate. Maybe I should prioritize what this cafe could become before we dive into anything personal, she asserted, steeling herself against the potential heartbreak this choice might bring. Yet, with that decision came a flicker of clarity, a realization that she had the ability to carve out her future without relegating her desires to a secondary role. Perhaps it was time to build a sanctuary not just for patrons but for her own aspirations as well. Let us channel all of this, she suggested, her spirit buoyed by new resolve. The uncertainty, the ideas into something concrete. I want to plan a workshop launch. Let us brainstorm and create something beautiful right here in this space. Tom's eyes brightened, the tension between them momentarily dissipating. That's brilliant, Jenna. A way to bring your artistry to life. It sparked conversations and creativity. Encouraged, they spent the next hour mapping out her ideas, even enlisting the possibility of art from local artists to adorn the walls. It was exhilarating to innovate beyond her initial dreams, and each proposal enhanced her sense of agency. But as they concluded the planning session, a lingering doubt curled within her thoughts. Had she effectively silenced a deeper conversation for the sake of ambition? The idea of placing her emotional needs on the back burner resurfaced, tugging at her conscience. The day ended, and with it, the cafe buzzed with anticipation for the future Jenna envisioned. Yet within her, a quiet storm brewed, carrying not just excitement for the cafe's rebirth but a question left unanswered: could she truly separate her emotional growth from her professional ambitions, or would one inevitably influence the other? As her cafe transformed into a vessel for creativity, Jenna couldn't help but wonder, was she crafting a sanctuary for others, or was it ultimately a brave front of her own making, one that shielded her from acknowledging the uncertain reality of her feelings for Tom? Determined to unearth her own truth, Jenna stood at the threshold, wrestling with her fears, aware that the path forward held deeper revelations both personally and professionally. How much longer could she keep her heart at bay? In the distance, the soft sound of laughter and vibrant chatter called out, but Jenna lingered, caught between aspirations and emotions that demanded reckoning. Was she ready for a collision of her two worlds? The aftermath of the planning session hung like a translucent veil around Jenna, blurring the distinction between her aspirations and uncertainties. Her heart quickened at the thought of the cafe's exciting potential but wrestled with an unsettling undercurrent. Had she effectively channeled her feelings for Tom into this project, diverting her emotions into a new ambition? Each time that nagging question surfaced, she pushed it down, focusing instead on the growing list of tasks that needed her attention. The next morning, Jenna woke early, the sun streaking through her window and the day stretching before her like an open canvas. She grabbed her notebook, filled with ideas from the previous day, and settled at a makeshift desk in a cozy corner of the cafe. The scent of freshly brewed coffee enveloped her as she began to sketch out the workshop structure. Her pen danced across the page as she wrote down everything from logistical details to potential themes. The workshop was becoming a metaphor for her growth. She envisioned artists and dreamers filling the space she had created, sharing in a collective experience that could redefine her cafe as a hub of creativity. Yet, even as she reveled in her plans, a familiar gnawing uncertainty lingered. Is this enough? She muttered to herself, the words punctuated by the tap of her pen against the table. It wasn't just about decor or snacks. It was about creating a space where vulnerability was encouraged, where people could open up and express their true selves. A sudden noise drew Jenna's attention to the door. It swung open as Tom stepped inside, a warm smile breaking across his face as he spotted her. Each time they connected in the space they shared, she felt an inexplicable tension. It was both thrilling and unsettling. "Hey, I thought I'd swing by and see how the planning is going," he said, moving closer, his voice a balm amidst her stormy thoughts. She motioned for him to sit, eager to share her ideas. As she recounted her vision for the workshop, she noticed how his eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. The connection between them, once loaded with hesitation, began to morph into something electric. Yet, the moment was clouded by the unspoken words still lingering between them. "Jenna," he said, his tone shifting slightly as the conversation took a turn. "You know I'm supportive of everything you want to do here. But I can't help feeling like we're deferring a conversation that needs to happen." His admission jolted her, sparking a battle within. She had dreamt of this creative awakening, yet couldn't shake the feeling that their personal dynamics were tied into it, like anchors dragging behind her ambitions. Maybe it's easier to focus on tangible goals, she confessed, the words falling from her lips like stones weighing her down. What if we just let it be for now? The workshop, it's all I want to think about. Tom looked at her with an intensity that sent shivers down her spine, as his gaze searched for her truth. But what if this emotional side of us is also part of your journey? You're an artist, Jenna. You can't ignore your feelings or let them be subordinate to your goals. It's all intertwined. His words struck a chord, resonating with the conflicted place she had been hiding. She leaned back, fingers intertwined nervously. I thought focusing on the cafe would make things clearer, but I feel like I'm at odds with myself. Giving energy to the cafe means I'm restricting my emotions. The weight of her admission settled heavily between them, a tangible acknowledgement of the barrier she had unconsciously built. For the first time, she felt the disparity between her dreams and her heart play out in the open. Can we explore this together? Tom asked, softening as understanding flashed in his eyes. You don't have to compartmentalize your heart to make room for your dreams. It all has value. His suggestion ignited a flicker of bravery in Jenna, awakening a question that hovered in her mind: could personal connection coexist alongside professional development? Was it possible for love and ambition to grow hand in hand, rather than in opposition? As they sat there, two worlds colliding in a cacophony of emotions and aspirations, Jenna felt an internal shift. Perhaps the answer lay not in either dismissing her feelings or wholly embracing them, but in finding balance, acknowledging both spheres could enhance rather than hinder her growth. She sensed the path forward was becoming clear, yet a thrilling uncertainty lingered in the air, a promise of challenges that still awaited her. How would she navigate the space between her heart and ambitions? The impending revelation lingered, hinting at a possibility of breaking through her fears. Meanwhile, the laughter and vibrant chatter of the cafe echoed around them, underscoring how intertwined their lives had become. The time had come to face the hidden truths that would either hold her back or catapult her towards the future she longed for. Would she dare to embrace both love and ambition, or would she retreat into a world of safe choices? Morning light filtered through the cafe windows as Jenna found herself alone with her thoughts once more, the chaotic energy from the conversation with Tom still swirling in her mind. A gentle breeze moved through, carrying the playful chatter of early customers, but her focus lay beyond the sounds of clinking cups and laughter. With a shaky breath, Jenna picked up her pen again. The spirals of her thoughts trailed onto the notebook pages, creating intricate connections between the workshop and her burgeoning emotions. The structure of her plans morphed into something deeper, an amalgamation of her aspirations and the buried complexities of her feelings for Tom. She paused, allowing herself to acknowledge what had been bubbling beneath the surface. It was an unsettling realization that the uncertainties surrounding both the workshop and her relationship with Tom mirrored one another. What if the cafe, much like her heart, was an intricate interplay of dreams yet to be fully realized? She scribbled down potential workshop names, each one reflecting a part of herself that longed for discovery and unconditional acceptance. It was no longer just about creativity, it was about connection, both to others and to herself. Through this realization, she dared to entertain surrendering part of her resolve. In a flash of inspiration, she decided on a theme for the workshop: embracing vulnerability. This would be more than a clever title, it would be her push to create a space for authenticity, a place where feelings could coalesce with creative expression. Each proposed session illuminated her path forward, pouring fragments of herself into the workshop she envisioned. But just as the confidence surged, shadows of doubt crept back in. What if vulnerability exposed her to further hurt? Was she ready to let others into spaces she had worked so hard to keep sacred? Forcing herself to confront these thoughts felt like standing at the edge of a precipice. Would she leap into the uncertainty, or retreat back to familiar territory, shrouded in safety? The door chimed, pulling her from her reverie, and in came Tom once more. His energy filled the space as he approached her, an unspoken understanding simmering between them. "Hey," he said, the warmth in his smile bouncing off the cafe walls. I wanted to see if you had decided on a theme." As Jenna met his gaze, she felt the weight of the unacknowledged tension shifting. This time, instead of freezing, she felt a quiet yet burning determination. "I think I figured out what the workshop should focus on," she said, her voice steady but laced with vulnerability. "It's about embracing vulnerability." His brows lifted, curiosity palpable in his eyes as he sat down, leaning into the moment. "That is powerful," he said. "Vulnerability is a brave thing to explore. How do you plan to pull that off?" This was the moment Jenna had been waiting for, not just to share her vision, but to allow Tom into her journey, weaving their personal connection into her ambitions. Here, in this bustling cafe, filled with sounds and stories of others, she could begin her own narrative of truth. "I think workshops can offer a space for artists to share their fears and strengths," she replied, feeling the acid of anxiety settle in her stomach. "I want to encourage people to express their insecurities, to pull back the curtains of our well-constructed facades." Tom leaned back, arms crossed, clearly mulling over her words. "And what about you? Are you ready to face your own insecurities?" Something inside shifted. The tension that once intimidated her now felt liberating, a chance to conquer. "I guess that's what I'm figuring out, being brave enough to share not just my art, but myself." Silence enveloped them, a shared moment that hung heavy with possibilities. It was no longer just about the workshop, it was about them, too. Jenna felt a new rush of courage surge within her, recognizing the urgency to break down her emotional walls. As she opened up about the deeper purpose behind the workshop, she realized how much she had been hiding, not just from others, but from herself. Moments later, something shifted in Tom's expression, his gaze laden with something she couldn't quite decipher. "Jenna," he whispered, his voice barely breaking the cocoon of intimacy between them. "You have so much to offer. But you deserve to be seen for who you truly are." The revelation spun in her mind, mixing with the swirling coffee aromas. Could she thrive by showing who she was, flaws and all, both in her work and in her heart? Would it forge the connection she craved or push Tom away? The stakes felt higher now as the impending confrontation with her own vulnerabilities loomed. How would they navigate this new chapter together? As she faced the unexplored terrain of emotions and ambitions, Jenna felt an exhilarating mix of fear and determination. But with each challenge came an opportunity for growth. Would she rise to meet it, or let it slip away? Determined, she looked Tom in the eye, ready to embrace whatever came next. Would she have the courage to let both love and ambition unfold in tandem, or would the fears of vulnerability pull her back once more? The cafe hummed with life as Jenna's thoughts buzzed around in her head, a mix of inspiration and apprehension. The powerful moment they'd shared hung in the air, sparking her resolve but also amplifying her doubts. She gazed at Tom, his expression attentive yet layered with something unspoken. What was this uncharted territory between them? Jenna felt a pulse of urgency. If she could articulate her vision, maybe she could also articulate her feelings. "I've realized it's not just about creating art, it's about the stories behind it," she began, words pouring out as she fought to reconcile her fears with her aspirations. "Everyone hides behind their work, presenting a polished image. I want to create a safe space where they can share their messy realities, their struggles." Tom nodded, leaning forward, interest deepening. "It sounds like you're transforming your own experiences into a shared dialogue. But what does that look like in practice?" Jenna hesitated, grappling with the weight of her own truth. She felt the boundaries of her comfort zone stretching ominously. "I want the participants to explore their vulnerabilities through different mediums: painting, writing, even movement. I'll share my own stories, show them it's okay not to be perfect." For a fleeting moment, she felt energized, the notion that authenticity could redefine her relationship with creativity. But quickly, a daunting thought gnawed at her. What if her truths were too raw, too personal to share? Could exposing her insecurities overshadow her intent to guide others? Tom broke into her spiraling thoughts. "You know, vulnerability can be incredibly relatable. It exposes our humanity, it invites connection. His words resonated, but that nagging self-doubt returned. Was she prepared to be seen in all her complexity? As they continued to speak, Jenna felt a shift not only in the atmosphere but within herself. The moment she shared felt monumental. I think I've been hiding for too long. This workshop is not only about helping others, it's about liberating myself too. Each word marked a deliberate step towards truth, yet a storm of internal questioning brewed. What if sharing meant relinquishing control and allowing herself to be vulnerable to pain once again? But she could no longer afford to let fear dictate her actions. Jenna, you seem really passionate about this, Tom encouraged. It's a journey, and you're not alone in it. I mean, my own experiences. He paused, catching himself, his voice trailing off, but Jenna sensed he was grappling with something profound beneath the surface as well. Do you want to share? She prompted gently, sensing the unspoken invitation between them. For a moment, his gaze fell, and Jenna could almost see the gears turning in his mind. I think I might be working through a few things myself. Maybe stepping into that vulnerability might not just help you, but me too. His honesty ignited something within her. There was reciprocity in their willingness to confront personal shadows. In that exchange, the cafe's ambience transformed. Their simple conversation sculpted a lifeline that connected them, bridging their contrasting journeys. Jenna's resolve fortified, buoyed by Tom's bravery in acknowledging his own uncertainty. Then let us not hide, she said, voice steadying. The first session can be our own stories. Let us show everyone how powerful it is to own our truths. As the words left her mouth, a jolt of clarity surged through her. This was the moment she would claim her narrative, not just as a facilitator, but as a participant in her own healing. Something shifted in Tom's gaze again, this time mixing admiration with a hint of something deeper. Fear clutched at Jenna's heart. She was standing at the edge of a precipice, her emotions bound to him even more tightly than she'd imagined, but the lingering tension of unexpressed feelings loomed over them still. Would navigating this burgeoning relationship entwined with their personal growth lead her to ultimate fulfillment or become an emotionally tangled snare? So, how do we begin? Jenna asked, emboldened by her decision to embrace vulnerability. As they began to plot out the framework for their workshop, she realized that the most significant leap was yet to come, the risk of bringing their hidden feelings into the light. Would that leap bring her the connection she longed for with Tom, or would it lead to heartbreak? With excitement creeping in, Jenna felt the stirrings of both hope and trepidation. What path would be forged in the revealing of their truths, and would they emerge stronger together, or would they remain shackled by the fear of the unknown? The following days unfolded like an echo of the cafe's charged atmosphere. Jenna found herself enveloped in a whirlwind of planning, her mind a chaotic canvas splattered with ideas and doubts. The workshop loomed, an impending moment that threatened to either elevate her artistic journey or plunge her deeper into uncertainty. She pored over her notes, the ink scrawling her vision onto paper, each stroke a pulse of anticipation. Her goal was to ensure participants felt safe enough to unearth their truths, and yet, the specter of her own vulnerabilities loomed larger with every passing day. Who was she to lead this charge when she wrestled with her own self-doubt? During a particularly restless night, Jenna wrestled with her reflection in the bathroom mirror. The sight of her own eyes haunted her, they seemed to shine with a flicker of hope yet held the burden of fear. For years, she had been a mask to the world, sheltered within the confines of perfection. Now, that mask felt like a shackle. The thought of openly sharing her insecurities in front of strangers sent a tremor through her. What if they judged her? What if they criticized her imperfections? Yet, each time she sat down to sketch out the workshop, her vision of safety and authenticity for others guided her hand. If she couldn't be brave for herself, how could she expect others to be brave for her? As the workshop date approached, she reached out to Tom. His responses were affirming, supportive, entrenching their shared mission to confront the rawness of their artistic selves together. But every message left her tingling with anticipation and tormenting uncertainty. Would revealing her emotions to him deepen their bond, or would it create chasms neither could traverse? The night before the first session, Jenna sat up in bed, legs crossed and notebook plopped precariously on her knees. She thumbed through her entries, compiling her story in a way that felt balanced yet brutally honest. Each line became a compass pointing to her past failures and triumphs, challenges, and moments of grace. The idea of sharing a core piece of herself terrified her, but in crafting that narrative, it was clearer than ever. This was how she would guide others. Morning light filtered through her window, illuminating the studio space she had rented for the workshop. Jenna often found the sunlight transformative, often bringing clarity in grim times. Today was different. Today, it felt filled with possibilities. She double-checked supplies and materials, ran through potential icebreakers in her mind, and noted her intentions aloud. With every word she pronounced, the tension began to shift, transforming panic into an adrenaline-fueled conviction. When Tom arrived, he was holding a bouquet of wildflowers, attempting to break the tension with a smile. "For you," he said, the sincerity of the gesture softening some of her burgeoning nerves. She barely contained her own smile, realizing that beneath the whimsy of flowers was a palpable connection that vibrated between them. "Thanks. It's beautiful," she said, taking a deep breath. Inside, her stomach fluttered. Today would be pivotal. As they organized the space, Jenna glanced around at the chairs arranged in a circle, each one an invitation for participants to divulge themselves. She felt like a lioness pacing before the hunt, surrounded by anticipation yet weighed down by the intensity of what lay ahead. After they finalized the layout, Jenna turned to Tom, their eyes locking for a heartbeat longer than customary, a silent acknowledgement that, today, their truths would not just remain unspoken. "Are you ready to face the fear?" he asked, and his voice dripped with sincerity that absorbed some of her trepidation. With a tentative breath, Jenna replied, "I'm ready to try." Just as the workshop was about to begin, the collective energy of the room surged. Jenna could feel her heart racing, the fear ebbed and flowed yet grounded her in purpose. As the first participant walked through the door, she realized that today's revelations would not just belong to them but would impact her own evolution too. And with that understanding came the realization that the greatest risk of all came not from sharing their experiences, but from hiding the depths of who they were. But even as the energy buzzed in the air, Jenna couldn't shake a potential pitfall. Was she prepared for the raw truth that might emerge within her? Would the unveiling of her own struggles pave a clear path forward, or would it instill fear in her relationships? The moment of truth hung like a delicate thread, poised to unravel at any misstep. Would she find liberation or isolation among the stories shared? The workshop began in the soft light of the cafe, a sanctuary steeped in anticipation and optimism. Jenna sat surrounded by a small group of eager faces, each reflecting a unique mix of excitement and vulnerability. The air buzzed with an electricity that seemed to pulse around her, and for the first time in many years, she felt an overwhelming sense of belonging to something larger than herself. "Welcome everyone to Embracing Vulnerability," Jenna announced, her voice steady yet warm. "Today, we're here not just to create art but to share our stories, the untamed, tangled parts of ourselves we often keep hidden." As the words left her lips, she felt an intricate bond forming, threading their experiences together in ways she had only dreamed possible. Each heartbeat resonated with raw potential. The realization struck her that unveiling their truths would reshape the very foundation of her cafe and her life. They began with introductions, each participant sharing a glimpse into their struggles, a painter yearning for authenticity, a writer afraid to speak her truth, a musician hiding behind a veneer of success. With every story exchanged, Jenna felt a tapestry weaving around them, binding their vulnerabilities into a collective narrative that shimmered with courage. It was transformative. In her mind, the walls she had built began to crumble, revealing spaces previously occupied by doubt. As they moved into the first exercise, Jenna took a deep breath, intent on leading by example. "I want to share a story of my own," she said, heart pounding as she decided to take the plunge into her own vulnerability. "There was a time when I felt completely lost. After my husband's passing, I turned inward, hiding behind the facades of independence and strength. But the truth is, I was terrified. The weight of expectations, both from others and myself, felt insurmountable." As she continued, recalling the depths of her struggles alongside the triumphs. She noticed the participants leaning forward, each word falling into a silence echoing with solidarity. The complexities around her narrative became a mirror, reflecting their silent battles back at them. The act of sharing shed layers of tension. It unfurled a relief that she had yet to fully embrace. Tom watched from the side, his expression mingling admiration and concern. He understood the monumental leap Jenna had taken not merely as a facilitator, but as part of a community. He admired her bravery and recognized that his own journey echoed hers. Perhaps it was time for both of them to come out from behind their masks. When it was his turn to speak, he took the bouquet of wildflowers from earlier and placed them on the table as a symbolic offering. "I didn't plan to share this today, but Jenna inspired me," he said, capturing the group's attention. "Like many of you, I've struggled with the fear of failure. As a corporate lawyer, I've navigated high stakes and constant expectations. But what Jenna has reminded me today is that we all have layers, and those can be beautiful or painful, yet they unite us in ways that pure success never can." Jenna watched as Tom unfurled his story, acknowledging his fears around authenticity and the sacrifices he had made to pursue social validation over personal fulfillment. His admission illuminated the space, deepening the intimacy enveloping them. Something decisive clicked, a spark ignited between them that was simultaneously thrilling and terrifying. By the time the session concluded, Jenna knew she had laid bare a part of herself she hadn't realized was aching for air. She had invited others to do the same, to unearth their complexities layered with creativity, and in return, what she found was an unexpected sense of liberation. As people shared their ideas for collaborative projects, she felt their stories blooming into her cafe like new leaves upon the branches of hope. The workshop became a catalyst for meaningful transformations, creating ripples beyond the cafe walls. Each participant left bursting with inspiration and newfound courage, not only to express their art but to embrace their authentic selves. Weeks passed, and her cafe sparked back to life with a renewed vibrancy. Jenna now held workshops regularly and even initiated collaborative nights to showcase local talent. Fragments of her journey were etched into every corner of the cafe, turning it into a community haven where creativity thrived amid the acknowledgement of shared struggles. With every event, Jenna felt a profound shift within herself, as if her ambitions now had the chance to coexist seamlessly with her emotional discoveries. The tension that had once been a barrier between her and Tom transformed into a foundation of mutual support and respect. One bright evening, as they cleaned up after yet another successful workshop, Jenna turned to Tom, the lingering spark between them undeniable. "Today was incredible, wasn't it?" "It was," he replied, a genuine smile breaking over his face. "I never knew how liberating it would feel to be so open." With her heart pounding in her chest, Jenna decided now was the moment to bridge the gap across their hearts as she leaned in closer. "Tom, I wanted to say I'm grateful for you. For your support and for pushing me to embrace vulnerability." And I think before she could finish, Tom stepped forward, closing the distance between them. "Jenna, I've been waiting for the right moment to say this. Since we reconnected, I've realized how much you inspire me. You've completely transformed your life and mine in the process. I've felt something between us grow stronger every day." As their eyes met, a profound understanding ignited, and Jenna knew this acknowledgement wouldn't overshadow her journey, it would only enhance it. "I feel the same," she breathed. "But I'm still figuring things out." "Me too," Tom replied, his voice steady. "But maybe we can explore this together. The cafe and our lives, it feels right." With a sense of excitement mingling with the anxiety of the unknown, Jenna nodded, letting the walls that had confined her crumble further. For the first time in a long while, she felt an unfurling of hope, a chance to navigate both her ambitions and the potential love blossoming between them. As they stepped into the future, Jenna carried the weight of her past as both a safeguard and a source of strength. She had conquered fear, embraced vulnerability, and most importantly, she had proved to herself that a bright new chapter awaited not just for her cafe, but for her heart as well. Today was a directive moment, the culmination of not just a workshop, but a beginning. Jenna had realized that growth wasn't a solitary journey, it thrived on connection, be it through her art, her cafe, or the partnership she began to cultivate with Tom. She had transformed from a woman caught in shadows into one who boldly walked toward the light, ready to embrace both her dreams and her heart's desires. Now was the time for others to embrace their journeys as well, to recognize that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a pathway to strength. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, it makes a difference. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Join the conversation, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share.